Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's Down and Dirty is a little bit of a departure from basically, everything on this channel. We're not going to be talking about dirt. We're not going to be talking about equipment. We're going to be talking about budgeting. Why? Well, because people have asked me, how do you go about saving for the layoff? And what's really come to my attention that I've never really thought about before is there's a lot of people in this industry that have absolutely no experience when it comes to personal finance, when it comes to building a budget, when it comes to even figuring out what your income needs are in order to do something like sit at home for the winter. So I was very fortunate growing up because, as you guys know, I had a banker as a father. I just kind of took it for granted that everybody knew how to do a basic budget, but I'm coming to realize that a lot of people don't know that. So today, we're gonna go through this at a very high level. We're gonna talk about how to build a budget with free online tools, and then we're gonna talk about what it would take to save for the layoff so that you can comfortably sit at home and enjoy the fruits of your labor after having worked your ass to the bone all summer long. So I do wanna cover a couple quick things. First of all, this is going to be a high level budget. You can see thousands of videos on YouTube going in depth as to creating more and more complex budgets. We're gonna cover this at a high level. And then secondly, we're just gonna throw out some random numbers for my budget stuff. I'm not getting hyper technical. So when we talk about things like oil changes for your vehicle and I say 60 bucks, I really don't want to see in the comments like 60 bucks, sweet Jesus, my Duramax diesel's 150. No one cares about your tiny wiener. Calm it down. These aren't real numbers. We're just throwing arbitrary numbers in here to give you guys an idea of how to actually create a budget. The last thing I want to say is the budget sheet we are going to use today, this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video just because I am going to set this up in real time so that you can do it on your own. Or if you would like to use this, I am going to include a link to the download file. You can get it through Google Sheets, use it for yourself, change all of my stuff around. So without further ado, let's jump into budgeting. So right here on my screen, what we have is I went to Google and literally just typed in Google Sheets. This is a Google program. You don't need any software in your computer. It's done totally online and it hooks into your personal Google account. So no one else on the internet's gonna be able to see your budget or anything of what you do. So the first result that comes up when I type in Google Sheets is, of course, I know it's shocking, Google Sheets. So we're gonna click on that and it's gonna take us to this page here where they talk about all the awesome wonders of Google Sheets. We don't care about the awesome wonders. We just wanna go up here to sign in. Once you click sign in, that's gonna take you to this page here. This is your Google Drive. This is basically an online folder for you to store your documents within Google. Don't get scared off from this. It's all right. You can see they actually already have a template for monthly budget. I'm gonna assume most of you guys don't know a whole heck of a lot about spreadsheets, so feel free to explore that. In fact, I would encourage you to explore that down the road, but for today, I'm going to keep this at a very high level, super simple, so everyone can understand it, even if you've never messed with a spreadsheet before. So we're gonna go to blank right here, and we're gonna create a new Google document. Up here at the top, we're gonna call this my monthly budget. See, for being big and scary, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? Man, we're looking nice. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we need to know how much money we're bringing in. So let's go over some basic accounting terms. I realize these are hyper basic, but at the same time, if you've never had any sort of personal finance experiences, any classes on accounting, these might not just be commonplace terms to you. So the first term we're gonna talk about is income. I think most of us are familiar, but just in case, income is money that is coming into your household. And there are two numbers that we talk about when we talk about income. There's gross income and there's net income. Gross income is your money that you've made before taxes and health insurance and all of the things that your employer, unemployment insurance, all of the things that your unemployer takes out of your check. That is your gross income. Your net income is what you get after all of that stuff. Union dues is another one that comes out of your paycheck before it ever gets to you. Union dues would be in part of that. And so net is your money that you made minus healthcare, minus, I'm sorry, not healthcare, minus your federal taxes, state taxes, your union dues, all of that stuff. Net income is the actual dollar number on your check that you get to bring home. And a really easy way to remember that is, I remember it's really gross to look at gross income because that's the money you could have brought home had they not taken all of it for taxes and everything. So it's really gross to look at that number. And then you have net income. So that's what income is. So what we're going to be talking about in our budget is net income, because we don't care about what you made before taxes and everything, because we don't physically get to see that money in our bank account. We want the money that we see in our bank account. So we're just gonna go up to the top here in the cell that's selected, and we're gonna write income. Boom, this is so easy. And we're gonna fancy it up a little too. So I'm gonna bold this, that's what that does. I'm gonna pop our font up just a little bit bigger so it stands out. And you know what, because I'm just feeling awesome, see this borders button? We're gonna make it underlined because it's really fancy. And we're gonna thicken her up so it looks real nice. Oh, look at that, beautiful, isn't it? In fact, I'm gonna go one step further. We're gonna center this baby. That's what this does, makes it to the center. Isn't that nice? That's so nice. So this is income. This is where we are going to account for all of the money that's coming into our house. So I'm gonna say my paycheck. Now, we need to think about this in monthly terms. So, in fact, we are not even gonna say my paycheck. We're gonna say Brian's income, or Brian's, yeah, we'll just put Brian's income. And then I have a wife, and let's assume that she works. So we have Melissa's income. And you know what? I seem to recall I have a YouTube channel, and I bring in a little money from the YouTube channel. So we're gonna do YouTube income. We can split out however many sources of income we want right here. So go ahead and list out all of your sources of income right up here under our income column. And so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually put in, and again, we need to think about this. This is our monthly numbers. In fact, I'm gonna just write that up here so that we all remember that. Monthly total. We'll just do that. How about that? Ooh, that's fancy. We need to center that too. You know, it just looks nice when it's centered. And maybe we'll put that same underline under it. Where was that? That was right here. We're gonna put that same underline. That way we know it's separated. And for my income, I'm trying to think what I used to make at Dan's. So, let's see here. And I'm gonna do, don't worry about the fanciness that I'm about to do in the spreadsheet, but this is the power of spreadsheets. I don't have a calculator, right? So let's say I worked 60 hours a week. I was making $36 an hour, and then I did that 4 weeks out of the month, right? $8,600. So let's take a little bit off for taxes. Let's call it, I don't know, $7,500. $7,500. And by the way, we want everything in this column to be listed as dollars, right? Because we're talking about income. So I'm gonna go up here. I selected the whole column. I'm gonna go up here and I'm just gonna say, hey, make this a currency column so that it actually shows up like dollars. Because I'm anal about my spreadsheets, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I'm anal about my spreadsheets. And all I did was scoot this over so that we got a little more room to work with. All right, so let's say Melissa also works. And I don't know what she does. She's a school teacher. That's what she used to do before we had kids. And we all know school teachers make jack crap. So let's just call that $2,500 a month. That's pretty good, right? So now I've got my YouTube income. And again, let's just throw an arbitrary number out there. Let's say $500 a month from YouTube income. Now we want to know what all of these are added together. So we're gonna say total monthly income. And now this is where we're gonna get a little fancy with the spreadsheet, okay? In fact, I'm gonna change this so that, because you guys are gonna, oh, never mind, I already did. Never mind. So this is where we're gonna do a little spreadsheet fanciness, and this is why I love spreadsheets. So I'm gonna say this cell, this block that I'm in, equals, let's see here, sum. And a sum, if we all know from elementary, maybe middle school math, means add them all together. I'm gonna put a parenthesis, and I'm going to, and you can see it's already guiding me here. It's saying, hey, we wanna add all these together, right? And I'm gonna say, yes, I do. Yes, I do. So our monthly income is $10,500 a month. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually increase the size of this just by 1. We're gonna bold it, and I'm actually gonna change the color on this so that we know this is our income. We're gonna make it green. There's our monthly income. Pretty fancy, right? That's awesome. By the way, if you need more spots, this is really easy. If you download this form and you need a couple more spots, all you're gonna do is you're gonna right click, not your regular click, you're gonna click that side of the mouse that you never use. And we're gonna say insert 1 row above, and you're gonna see it bumps it down. And now you can type in whatever you want. And then you're gonna go to this cell here, and you're just gonna drag this guy down. Oops, nope, it's not like Excel. So this is cell B4, right? Here's B, here's 4, where the 2 meet is cell B4. So what we're gonna do is, if we wanna add B5 in there, we're just gonna change this number. You're gonna click right up here. You're gonna say, hey, we want that to be B5 now. And see how now it included, let me click back up here. See how it included that cell now? That's a quick way that you can add a couple more cells of income if you need to. So now we're gonna leave a little space here, and we're gonna say expenses. In fact, we're gonna actually save ourselves a little time. I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna come down here, boom. But it's not income, right? It's expenses. And so now we need to start going through all of our monthly expenses that we encounter every month. So the first one that comes to mind, rent or your mortgage. So mortgage or rent, depending on your situation. And we're gonna just throw in a round number, $1,000 a month. Now let's see here, we've got groceries. And I think, if I remember right, I wanna say we budget around, man, $700 a month? I don't remember, in all honesty. See, this is why my wife should be doing the budget, is because she keeps track of all this stuff. I don't, so sorry. We're gonna call it $700 a month. Again, use your own numbers. Now, we need gas for the cars. Let's see here. I would say we probably go through about $450 a month in fuel between my wife's car and my car, with me driving all over the place. Again, going to different job sites and everything. Now we've got, and we should say this is for vehicles, because now we have gas for, let's see, heat, cooking. So that's our monthly gas bill. And I think my gas bill right now is $60 a month roughly. And then we've got electric. And let's call that $30 a month. And maybe you have water, and maybe that's $27 a month. Again, I don't know what these numbers are for you. Throw in your own. I've got internet, and I think that costs me $70 a month, because again, I have a YouTube channel. I have to pay for expensive internet so that I can upload and download all my files. And let's see here, what else do we have? So here's a great example, like we talked about in the intro. We have expenses that don't really fall monthly, right? And a great one is oil changes on the car. So what we can do here is we can kind of say, I change my oil an average of once every other month. And when I do, it costs me $60. So that's $30 a month for my car. My wife also has a car, and she spends about $30 a month on her oil change. Or I'm sorry, not $30, but not $30 a month. She spends $30 on her oil change, but she does it every 3 months. So if we break that down, we're gonna go vehicle maintenance. So mine was $60 every other month, which if we break that down, that's $30 a month, right? So we got $30 a month. My wife was $30 every 3 months, so that's $10. We're gonna budget $40 a month towards our vehicle maintenance. Now, if you have other things that you spend money on, if you want to kind of stock away, this is where you can fudge this into your budget. Let's say we want to save about $1,000 a month over the course of the year. Let me rephrase that, I'm sorry. Let's say we want to save about, for easy round numbers, let's say we want to save $1,200 a year and put it away into a savings account for our vehicle maintenance. So if something breaks down, we've got that in our account. That's easy to fudge right here. What we can do is we can either manually do the math in our head and put that down. So 40 plus $100 a month, which would get us to our $1,200 a year fund. Or what we can do is we can say, I want this cell to actually equal $40, which is our regular oil changes, plus I want to save my $100. Let me move my mouse so it's out of the way. Plus I want to save my $100 a month for my annual vehicle maintenance fund. Hit enter. It does that math for you. Now I realize those were easy numbers, but that's the power of spreadsheets, because when you start getting into some complex numbers, we can do that math in the spreadsheet. I don't have to pull out a calculator and figure it all out. So let's see here. What else could we possibly have here? Let's see here. I have someone take care of our yard for us, because as a lot of you guys know, we're working 7 days a week in the field a lot of times, 6-7 days a week. I've made the choice to pay someone to do lawn care. So lawn care, that's $200 a month. And yes, I realize I'm getting that for a steal. I love it. It's fantastic. So we're gonna call that good here. I'm not gonna add anything else in. I am going to, on this spreadsheet, I am going to leave you guys a handful of spaces there so that you guys can go in and add your own expenses in there if you've got additional expenses. So we'll go down to this cell right here and we're gonna go, what did we call this? Total monthly expenses. And we're gonna say equals sum, because we wanna add it all together. We need our parenthesis so that we can put our values in. And then we're just gonna click and drag all these guys right here. Boom. And I am including all of those extra cells, so if you add something, you don't have to do anything to it. So look at that. We're gonna bump that up just like we did our other one, so it stands out. We're gonna bold it. And this one, we're gonna turn red, because these are our expenses. Ooh, isn't that pretty? I'll tell you the other thing we're gonna do just to make it look even prettier, because again, I like my spreadsheets to look all fanciful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight those and we're gonna underline that number, because that's an important number, right? So, and I'm actually gonna change the color. No, I'm not gonna fool with it. But I don't want that to be, see, this is where you get super anal with your spreadsheets and it becomes just a problem. And everyone just can't stand it because you're being a pain. All right, there we go. So we have our total monthly income, our total monthly expenses. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to have our net income number. This is separate from our net income from our paycheck. This is our budgetary net income. So we're just gonna go out here to a cell and we're gonna say, in fact, we're gonna do this right here. We're gonna copy this cell because I want it to look kind of roughly the same. We're gonna put that out here and we're gonna say, we're gonna change this to net monthly income. And then I want this cell to be our income. So I said equals. I'm gonna click on this cell right here, boom. And I wanna subtract our expenses from that. Boom, hit enter. Look at that. It just did the math for us. That's fantastic. So we can see here on our budget, we have a net monthly income of $7,800. We're doing pretty dang good, aren't we? But hang on a second, I just thought of a couple more things. Most of you guys drive pretty big trucks, right? Truck payment, forgot about that one. I bet that's gonna be $1,200 a month because you drive a big old monster, right? Now I want you to notice what just happened. When I plug that number in, this number automatically updated, as did this number. That's the beauty of spreadsheets, because had we done all of this on pen and paper, our numbers would be all over the place. Because anytime we change something, we've got to go back and scratch through our expenses, and we got to scratch through our net income, and then we got to go redo our calculations, and then we got to, that's going to get messy really, really quick. And there, you know, don't get me wrong, there are some of you guys out there that prefer doing that method, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the power of these spreadsheets is, first of all, I haven't had to pull a calculator out once, right? You guys have watched me do all of this within the spreadsheet. Secondly, I can change this however I want, however many times I want, and this will automatically update. So let's say you get, like, win the lottery or something, and all of a sudden you're able to pay off your house and you no longer have a house payment. Boom, spreadsheet did all that math for you. Pretty awesome, right? That's the power of spreadsheets when it comes to this sort of stuff. So I'm sure, another thing that comes along is we've probably got child support, right? I know this industry. There's a lot of us that have child support. So I have no idea what those numbers are because I personally don't pay child support. I have no feel for that. Call it $2,500 a month. Boom. Now we've calculated that in. Now I can see right now, this number is getting higher. This number is getting smaller. This is where we need to be careful. Is because when we start getting to where this number gets small, that means you're living right up against the bar of what you're making. And in the grand scheme of things, that's not what you want to do because you want to have some extra spending money, right? You want to save away from a little extra retirement, or let's say you do want to go get that new snowmobile next year, or you want a new quad next year, or whatever it is, or for the situation we're actually talking about, I want to be able to sit at home over the winter. So how am I going to do that if I'm not saving any money whatsoever? So that's really, really important that we're paying attention to this number over here. And we want to have some extra left over if we have any hopes of getting any of our new toys, or we have any hopes of sitting at home next winter. So let's talk about a couple more things under our expenses. Cigarettes. If you smoke, this is going to be a very, very depressing exercise for you because you easily have a quad payment, if not a truck payment, going up in smoke. Literal smoke every month because you smoke. I don't judge you for smoking. I don't care. What hurts my heart when it comes to smoking is the amount of money that goes down the drain when you do it. This is going to show up really quick when you start putting together a budget. Another thing, if you go to the convenience store, because I love going to the convenience store, you get that Monster, maybe a candy bar every day. It's only $2 or $3, right? It's not that big of a deal. Well, let's do that real quick. Convenience store runs. That's hard to spell. Let's say, again, we're gonna do a little spreadsheet math. Let's say equals, we go to the store 5 days a week. We do that 4 times a month, right? And every time it costs us about $3.50. You're spending $70 a month on Monster or Red Bull. We're not gonna get into the debate today. On Monster or Red Bull and your candy bar. It adds up quick. Beer runs equals, let's say we do 3 cases a week times 4 times, what's a case go for? $16? I don't know, let's call it that. Woo! Adds up quick, guys. Between these two things right here, now this is another cool feature. I can click and drag, so that's all I'm doing is I'm clicking and dragging, and I can select these cells, and down here in the corner, you're gonna notice it gives me a sum. That's $262. Right there without cigarettes included, there's your quad payment, or at least a lot of it. Like, this stuff adds up quick, and that's why budgeting is so important. And by the way to make sure you get all of your expenses is to pull up your bank statement, either a physical copy of your bank statement, or you can actually get it printed out from the bank. Go through and look at where all of the places your money were. And if it's a monthly expense, if it's not some weird oddball thing, make sure it's listed here under your expenses. Make sure you account for all of this stuff because that's the only way your budget's actually going to work, is if you truly account for all of this stuff. So what you can see here is we've got beer runs worked in, convenience store runs, let's say cigarettes. And I'm just gonna say cigs because I can't spell cigarettes. I have no idea. I'm just gonna guess, God, how much does the average smoker spend? I don't have a freaking clue. I'm gonna look it up real quick. How much does the average smoker spend a week? Let's see here. $188 a month. We'll put it at that. Okay. So again, we're gonna highlight all 3 of these cells. So between your convenience store runs for your Monster and Red Bull and your candy bar, whatever you get, your beer runs and your cigarettes, that's $450 a month. It gets expensive, guys. It gets expensive. But for the sake of today's exercise, we still have a net positive. Between my wife's income, my YouTube income, and my income, we have a net of $3,600. So we're in the positive. And what were we talking about? How do you save for the winter? Well, so let's do another exercise really quick now that we have our monthly numbers. So how much do we spend a month? Well, conveniently, we just came up with that number, $6,800 a month. So we're gonna go up here and we're gonna say number of months laid off. So let's say I generally would get laid off in, let's call it October. That's conservative because I generally got laid off in like late October, early November. But we're gonna say October and we're gonna hire back in April. So I'm gonna sit at home for October, November, December, April, January. What did I just do? I'm sorry guys, my brain just totally farted out. So try that one again, sweet Jesus. October, November, December, there's 3 months. And then January, February, March. We're gonna sit at home for 6 months. Layoff needs, that's going to equal this number of months times those expenses. Boy, that's a scary number, isn't it? Oops. Clicking the wrong button here. I got myself all discombobulated with the months and now I'm having a little bit of a miniature panic attack because I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I don't know. So boom, there it is. Your layoff needs is $40,000. Now, here's the question. Can we save that with our extra income here? So we're gonna do, we only have 6 months, right? Because there's only 12 months in a year. We're gonna be laid off for 6 of them. In fact, we'll unconservify this. We're gonna say 5 months. So that brings it down a little bit. So amount needed to be saved is going to be amount needed each month. That's going to be this number divided by, and we're gonna get fancy. We're gonna go 12 months minus this number right here. Now, what did I just do? Because that's super confusing. Well, if we remember from middle school, parentheses is going from order of operations in math. Parentheses is gonna get handled first. So what this spreadsheet's gonna do is it's gonna say, okay, how many months are you being laid off? If we subtract that from 12 months, that's the rest of the year that you're gonna be working, right? And then what we're gonna do, so that gives us that number, which in our case, we're gonna be working for 7 months. 12 minus this cell, 5, is 7 months. Then we're gonna divide this number by how many months we have. There you go. That's how much we have to save every month if you wanna sit at home for the entire layoff. Can we do it under our current budget? We cannot. So, what does that mean? That means, unfortunately, my friends, we need to make some lifestyle changes. So, what can we do? So if we were to cut out these numbers right here, I know those are the ones that hurt. We're getting close. We're getting close. Now, this is where it's gonna hurt, guys. What if we sold that tiny wiener truck we're driving around and we got a little beater car and we could get that payment down? Guess what? We're there because we need to save $4,200 a month and we're getting an extra $4,500 a month. We actually have a little cushion there. This is the hard part about budgeting. This is where you have to be honest with yourself about how much and how badly you want to sit at home and how much you want to sacrifice some of the things that you really enjoy doing. There is no judgment here. I love my convenience store runs. I love having a beer at the end of a day. Let's be honest. I like having a handful of beers at the end of the day, especially after it's been a long day. I'm not a smoker. I can't really attest to that, but I also like driving a really nice truck. But you have to look at your budget. You have to look at what you're spending and what you need to save in order to sit at home. This is a whole other topic of discussion that I'm going to do a separate video on, but also how important is it to sit at home during the winter and spend some time with your kids or your wife or whoever it is, your spouse, I should say, not just wife, but wife or husband. How badly do you want to spend that time with them? Is it worth giving up some of the things that you really enjoy doing? And it doesn't have to be in the 3 things that I just picked here. Maybe you can get your groceries down. Maybe instead of eating some really good meals every night, maybe you skimp a little bit. And I can tell you right now, making refried beans and rice is not only a really, really good meal, like healthy wise, if you do it right, it's a really good meal and it's really filling. Maybe you have beans and rice a couple times a month. That's a really cheap meal to make. There are other areas in your budget that you can skimp on. Maybe instead of turning on the AC and cranking it down to 67 so that you could sleep really well in the summer, maybe you bump it up to 68 or 69 and get that electric bill a little lower. Which, by the way, that's another thing we need to account for in your budget here, is you're gonna have some fluctuations and some pricing over summer and winter. So you need to kind of think about that as you put your budget together. So this is a really, really high level of how I budget. My wife and I actually did this. Every year we would start our season stocking money away for the layoff, knowing that I wanted to sit at home and I wanted to see my kids and spend time with them instead of having to work through the winter. And I will tell you this too. We all are familiar that every once in a while you get a bonus, or once in a while you work some extra hours. And so you can actually get to our layoff needs number, that 29,000 we've got in our spreadsheet. You might get to that number sooner than you anticipate, which means, guess what? You got a little extra spending money on your plate there. And now you can go pursue some of these other things. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this answers some of your questions. I also realize I probably just created a giant S-storm of further questions. Feel free to comment down below. Feel free to ask away. I have no problem helping on this. I'm gonna do a little more tweaking, not on the video, to this spreadsheet just to make it a little more user-friendly, a little easier to look at. And I am going to post the link down below. So go ahead and check the description for that. Feel free to download this file and edit it however you want. And with that being said, you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you on the next Down and Dirty.